Welcome to the Infinite Podcast. I'm Melissa Ruiz Vasquez, and I'm here with my husband, Carlos Andres Ruiz. How are you today?
I am doing really good. Actually, this
Okay.
week, on Monday, I just felt like everything was great. It was so good that I was like, at what point are things gonna go wrong? Like, I feel like we were ready for the week. I got my, I woke up like at 6:30, and I got my workout in, and I wasn't tired, and I felt like we had a really good weekend with work. Um, and so I felt really good on Monday, and uh, it's still carrying on. So I'm still like, oh, when is it gonna go wrong? But so all that to say that uh, I'm doing, and though I think maybe also the weather, because
Mm-hmm.
Monday's weather, yesterday, whenever Monday was great, um, and then today's weather, like I'm I'm wearing shorts today. I love the shorts hoodie season because it's a little bit breezy, but still warm enough. Um, yeah, that's how I am. How are you today, Mel?
I'm good. I don't know why I'm feeling a little tired, but
Tired.
yeah, but like groggy. Again, it's just like my eyes. I
You're
don't know
lagging
what's
a
it.
little?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not 5G right now.
You're not 5G, you're like,
What came before 5G?
I don't know
I
actually.
guess 4G, but like before that, then what?
3?
2.
Oh,
We
so are
just
you like at 4, 3, 1,
dog. I feel like I'm at 3G.
3?
Yeah, it's giving 3G right now.
3G. Okay, that's fair. What do we normally try to focus our entire podcast around?
Relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and character development.
Yeah, I think those are the 3 principles that we feel incubate greatness. And if we're able to see them and find ways to use them in our favor and for the people that we do life with, I think we're going to maximize the human experience. Um, what are we going to talk about today?
We left off last week on a phrase that hits true to home for you. Um,
Do you
What?
remember that phrase?
of course.
Okay.
Do you want to share with us? Recap?
Yeah. I wanted to ask you for the full phrase, but I trust. I think
Oh.
I say it enough that you know the phrase. But uh, the phrase that it was. I think I was on a call with one of my best friends, and the phrase just came out. And then I think you were sitting somewhere, and that phrase felt like something that came out, and I had to like grab again.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, like this. And I was like, Mel, take note of this and put it somewhere. And one of my best friends and I were talking about what is it that moves us and that makes us good at whatever it is that we do. And the phrase that came out was help humans walk life hiding less. And that there was something about my ability to interact with humans that activated this ability to hide less, which at the end, when people come to me to be coached, for example, on the field, and they want have more confidence, the reality is that I've come across that what they are asking for is not more confidence, but an opportunity to be more authentic. And you feel so much lighter as a player when you can be the full expression of your authentic self. And so that phrase really for, I think it's been like 3 years, really has had a deep feeling inside of me, and everything that I do, I try to align with that. If anything comes out of this, I helped humans in this space walk life, hiding less. And last week we talked about help, and so over the years I felt that each one of these words has a message, and like each one of these words is a universe of its own, and I would love to just dive into each word and maybe throughout this podcast share what is behind these words and what is this universe that explodes in my mind that makes me so passionate. So today we're going to talk about the second word. So the first one was help, and just a quick recap where we left off is just there's there's a unique superpower in any human that allows themselves to ask for help. And sometimes we don't do that enough, and we actually limit our human expression, whether it's for lack of humility or embarrassment. Um, but being able to shift that into actually uh, my ability to ask for help reveals how successful I can become. And making that shift, I think, can really unlock. But today we're going to talk about humans. And humans is one of my favorite words. And if if I'm known for a word, I think I would love that to be the word that I am known for. I don't know. He said humans everywhere he went, or he brought out the humanity inside of us. And he was so human, at least as much as he existed within his field, within his relationships. But so yeah, so we're gonna talk about humans. But before we dive into the word humans, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna do our icebreaker.
Let's go.
Do you want to read it or you want me to read it?
I'm gonna let you choose.
You can read it.
You want me to read it?
Go ahead.
That means you have to answer first.
Okay.
All right, cool. You sounded excited about that. Uh-oh.
It doesn't help when you go uh-oh. It's the uh-oh only applies to me. I feel like no question you read is gonna hit you with an uh-oh. You're gonna be like, oh, okay.
Why do you say that?
Because you're so sure of yourself, I think.
Because I try to walk life hiding less. And
exactly.
So. All right. No, this one was actually for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
Here I am, assuming.
Did you have pets growing up? If so, what kind?
That is an uh-oh.
For me.
And that was an uh-oh for me for saying that.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I always loved animals growing up. Like when I was like in second grade, I was very fixed on like, I'm gonna be a veterinarian. Like, yeah. When I was a little kid, that's what I would say. Or a pro soccer player.
Okay.
Funny. But, so, that being said, I always wanted like a pet, especially a dog. But my mom was always like, absolutely not. Like, I'm gonna be the one taking care of it. Like, you wouldn't actually hold your own. And I was like, oh no, I would totally. But, so when I was 15, my dad went to Colombia, got a dog, brought it back because it would be cheaper to buy.
Do you have to pay for tickets for the pet?
Yeah, they need like passports.
No
and like
way.
paperwork.
Do they have a picture like we do?
I think so.
No.
I'm not sure. I didn't see it, but yeah, it was a whole process.
But you know that pets have passports.
Yeah.
Oh.
Fact check me.
Chat
GPT.
fact check us.
Yeah, for real. I don't know, but I know there's some kind of documentation that they need.
Okay. They
because
can't be illegal immigrants.
That's right.
Got it.
So yeah, we got a dog for my 15th birthday. His name was Falcao.
Falcao.
Yeah, if you know,
Why?
you know.
Why Falcao?
Because of course, as indecisive as I am, I especially was when I was 14 years old, and I didn't have a name. I was like, I need to see, because there was no dog that was, oh, I want that one. So it was never a situation where it's like I got to pick it specifically. My dad went, and they knew a guy who was like
knew a guy?
Yeah, had like bred Shih Tzus, I guess, and they were like, all right.
What?
The breed of the dog is a Shih
Got
Tzu.
it.
And my dad chose one, but then I started getting sick. I don't know what happened to that dog. And so then we ended up having to get Falcao. So I hadn't chosen a name, and we had talked about like cute little names and stuff. And my dad just ran with Falcao because Falcao was having the time of his life in that year. What was it? If I was 15.
Before his injury, he was killing it.
Exactly. It was like 2016. That around that time, Falcao was doing great. So my dad was like, let's name it after a soccer player.
I'm surprised he didn't choose a Nacional player. Like Pablo Escobar, René Guita.
Oiga, dice Pablo Escobar. You mean Andres?
I mean, no, but the only reason they won was because of Pablo.
Bueno.
He owned the team. Okay, so Falcao, it's your pet. So what kind of pet is it again? Well, it's a dog. He's a dog. But what breed?
Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's spelled funny. It does sound like shit, but it's not.
I was thinking it sounds more like Sisu, like the coach or old player. Did I have pets growing up? If so, what kind? Well, I guess I don't have to answer this. No, actually, I did have a pet, and it was a fish. And you make this face every time I say it.
I got a memory like a fish, that's why.
Goldfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind, It wasn't a shark. It was small.
What gave that away?
Um, and I don't even remember how I got the fish.
Mm.
I don't know if somebody gave it to me, but one day I dropped it in the toilet.
Nah, no. Para.
And wait, no. I didn't drop it in the toilet. I think it died. And
Probably.
so it died, and then I was told that just put it in the toilet and
Yeah.
flush it.
Mm.
So that's as far as my pet life went. I'm not a big fan of pets. I love humans too much, and I just feel like I want to invest my time in humans, and I'm also not disciplined enough to take care of a pet. I like imagine walking a dog or walking anything at 6 a.m. in the middle of the winter.
Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So then it's more for the pet than I don't want the pet than for me, because I want them to have an amazing owner,
Yeah,
and I am not gonna give them that love.
I hear you.
You hear me?
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Because some people selfishly might get one knowing that they can't handle
Mhm.
the discipline of taking care of a dog.
Why do humans like pets?
It's unconditional love.
Unconditional love. Wow, is that where we're gonna start?
I guess so.
All right. All right. So back to what we're gonna talk about today, which is we're gonna talk about humans, and so unconditional love. So you said humans like pets because it's unconditional love.
Or at least we
Say-
get the
say more.
we get the there's an illusion that it's unconditional love because the dog can't say I love you. A cat can't say I love you. Like, so we just kind of assume, because I know some people like say we had a pet and that pet was like a little more attached to you, even though I love the pet more than you do, which like I feel like that happens sometimes. I would get jealous. Like most people would be like, dude, what the heck? I show you so much love and like you're out here showing more love. But the pet's not intentionally saying, no, I love this person more than I love you, or that I even love you. Like it's kind of like, especially cats.
Okay. What's the
Like-
biggest difference between cats and dogs?
Dogs is the closer to unconditional love, I would say, because
They're more loyal?
yeah, they care more about whether you love them or not.
Okay.
Cats are like, bro, you can leave, you can come back, you can do whatever you want. I don't care. Leave me alone if I want to be left alone, or if I want to be like paid attention to, I'll make it known. Like they'll go sit on you, they'll go like rub up on you, like
See, I like dogs more than I like cats. But I feel like
you resonate.
I resonate more with the cat.
Yeah.
It just feels like a healthier.
Yeah.
Cats are healthier emotionally
Yeah.
than dogs.
Yeah, and they do whatever they want. They're more agile.
I
So
don't
like
think I do whatever I want. But
but they can like jump up on counters, like they could jump so many places.
Okay.
Dogs are like pretty limited to where they're at.
Okay.
Like since my dog was so tiny, if he wanted to get on the bed, he had to ask for permission basically, and we would have to give him that permission. But like a big dog is a little more whatever.
Okay.
But,
Okay. Let's
you know what I
let's
mean.
shift back to
Yeah,
humans.
yeah, yeah.
let's
I
shift
could
back
talk
to-
about this all
You
day.
could talk about so we stall human
Yeah.
human conversation. So back to humans. So are you saying that we crave unconditional love?
Yeah.
Is unconditional love attainable?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay, so let's start with yes.
So, because of my belief, I think that I do get unconditional love, but not from a human, from God.
Okay.
But if I'm expecting it from a human, I used to think it was possible. I don't think it is.
You want to say more?
Because we live in such a conditional realm.
Mm.
Like, that sounded so like heady, but like,
It's okay.
it's you love me because I'm your wife. You love me because of the experiences we've had together. You don't love me just because I'm me. Like, my parents love me because they raised me. They got me here.
Mm-hmm.
They love me because of that. I could, depending on the parent, my parents, I think, no matter how hard I could mess up and like do them dirty or something, which I would never, but like they would still love me. So I think our parents are probably the closest thing that we get to unconditional love, but we're fortunate for that because it's like our parents specifically. I know some people aren't as fortunate. So I think, but they love me more, I think. Maybe they would never say this.
Yeah.
If I'm good. Like if I try to be a good person, it's much easier to love me. But if I was doing bad things, it's a little more difficult to.
But ironically, if you did bad things, the proof of unconditional love would be there. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess like it's easy to love someone who does something good, but that's a condition. Like
It could be seen as a condition, right? And that's an interesting dilemma because I think when we work with athletes, as much as you love the athlete or you come close to a player, it's a transactional exchange between a coach and a player, and is dictated by your performance. And if you do something wrong, I'm gonna have to try either different ways to help you perform better, or in game, I might have to switch you. And I think a lot of the times when players come to me to help them maybe with individuals or small group, I wonder if it's because they don't feel loved, and they won't articulate it in that way, but maybe they are articulated like, I'm losing my confidence. And I try to always, like when they're asking for confidence, that's like the top layer. I'm like, what are they actually asking for? And I think if you think about the places in where you are loved the most, you are the most confident also. And so these players are seeking this moment of almost unconditional love in which I can fail and still not lose my spot. And that's not realistic within the game, but I think what I would say is probably the best players learn to understand that it's based on conditions, and that they shouldn't take personal what the coach decision is during a game or a practice. And the same thing, the coach. So sometimes as a coach, you can get caught up in the results, which is very important, but you might be sacrificing the opportunity for the player to continue to try in your environment because they start to feel like you don't love them. And the way they articulate that is like, this coach doesn't like me, doesn't like my style, doesn't align with. And so I do feel that it does have to do with this long for first love, but I do feel that we are wired for unconditional love. I don't know that we can find it here with other humans. It's a question that I navigate because you sound very hopeless if you go around the world saying like, no, unconditional love doesn't exist. But maybe it's not that unconditional. It's not that we leave with the unconditional love doesn't exist, but is that we long to get the closest possible to unconditional love. And like you said, like our parents get us a little bit closer. Our relationship get us a little. I mean, imagine when we have kids, is going to get us significantly closer. But it is because they are our kids that we're going to feel that way. And although we want to love all the kids in the world, we will not love them the way we love our kids because they are our kids. Yep. And it leaves us with, perhaps it's not that there is an unconditional love period, but maybe the only source of unconditional love is God, which then makes God really, really unique in the sense that in order for me to love outwardly in a conditional world, I need to find a source that has unlimited of this source or of this energy, which is love. And that may explain why maybe sometimes we fall into emotional instability or we don't trust anymore because we have given the people that we feel closest to unconditional love the permission to be God.
Yeah.
And unfortunately we're gonna come short of meeting unconditional love as humans, but we're not gonna come short of longing for that. And so it's such a tension, but I feel that it's healthier to be upfront, because if you walk into the expectation that they gotta love me unconditionally, it's almost like you're setting them up to fail.
Yeah.
And then the relationship is more at danger. As we go back and forth with this unconditional and conditional, I want to talk about this phrase that normally when something goes wrong, I feel like people just say, or not people just say, but it's a common phrase that it's like, oh, but I'm just human. Or when somebody does so many good things, and then at the end they do one bad thing, and it's like, oh, well, even this person is human. And for some reason, we've lowered down human expectation to, oh, we're human because we are imperfect. Why do you think we do that? And do you agree with that? Is that part of what makes us human, the fact that we come short?
I think so, yeah. I don't necessarily agree with the phrase of, well, I'm only human. We've talked about why, and I'd like for you to go into that a little bit, but I do think that a big part of being human is the fact that we make mistakes, and I think it's part of the free will discussion. And as we grow, we have to make mistakes in order to grow. And fortunately, I believe you mentioned it before, the only thing that we can do, that God can do, is grow, right? So in order to grow, we make mistakes. And as humans, if that's what we can do that God can do, then we have to make mistakes. And so, and I know personally that I make plenty of mistakes, but I think I've gotten to the point where when I make mistakes, I evaluate why, how I made that mistake, and what I can do better in the future. So I think that is a very human part of us, but I don't think it's necessarily what makes us human, because I'm sure other species make mistakes.
Do they? It's a good question.
But I think you should go into why that phrase doesn't sit well with your spirit.
Doesn't sit well with any dimension of me.
Yeah.
But one, I think it's an excuse to limit our human expression. But to be fair, I don't like the phrase, but I don't know if it might be true. I land more on, yes, it is true, but that's not where I want to begin. And so when I hear the word humans, I choose to not begin at, oh, I'm imperfect. When I hear the word humans, I choose to believe that, oh, I am the species that is closest to the reflection of God. And that's a very different starting point. And so when you're talking about confidence and how do you walk into spaces with confidence, if you walk into the space with the confidence of, I'm not perfect, versus you walked into the space with, I am the closest expression of God on earth, that just hits different in the way you come about, and your creativity is probably struck by that. Your passion is probably struck by that. Your ability to make mistakes actually is affected by the way you walk into. And so I think, for example, as a coach, the underlining essence that makes players enjoy our spaces so much is the fact that when I walk into a space, I'm trying to make everybody feel that they are the closest representation of God on earth. And I don't say that, but I infuse them with self-confidence and self-belief and authenticity, as opposed to, hey, you made that mistake, it's okay, everybody makes mistakes. Because I'm like decreasing their expression. And then when they do make mistakes, then we already are so high, then like, oh, I made a mistake. But if I feel that I always make that's what defines me, and I make a mistake, then I'm a little bit lower. So I think that's for me such an important perspective as a human. To where does your belief in yourself begin? Maybe it's not that saying that we make mistakes or that I'm human and I'm not perfect. Maybe that's not false, but that's a really unhealthy place to begin. I was reading a book that it talked about the dilemma of, well, if we are imperfect, how can a perfect God have created an imperfect creation? And the distinction that they landed at is that the reason we think we're imperfect is because we're comparing ourselves to God. But in fact, we are perfect humans. And so part of making mistakes is part of our perfection. It's just that we're comparing to perfection of God. And so if there was like categories, and so like God is perfect, humans are perfect, I don't know, let's say animals are perfect. We are all perfect in our design. It's just when you compare a dog to a human, it might be less perfect. And when you compare a human to God, it might be less perfect. But in their container, we are created perfect. We just choose to compare it to something that's greater than us.
Like our criteria is different.
Yes, I think that's the right word. The criteria is different. Which at the same time, it's a beautiful dilemma, because if we are created in the image of this beautiful, perfect, amazing God, it makes sense that we feel some type of way when we come short of perfection.
Yeah.
Because somewhere in our wiring, we actually are an expression of that beauty and love and unconditionalness. And then when we come here and we don't see it, there's a tension. But I think the reason that word is so important for me is because it helps me walk into every space and see everybody from the point of view of, if you're human, you are also the closest expression of God. And for me, God is love, God is patience, God is kindness, God is passion, and God is creativity. And if I begin with that for the people I look at and myself, I think that completely changes your day to day.
Yeah. So I guess for myself, I know a lot of your viewpoints. So I guess I'm wondering if people watching this might ask themselves, like, well, what do you mean that we're the closest expression of God? Like, where did you get that from? Or what makes you feel that way?
What makes me feel that we are the closest expression of God? Well, that's very interwoven in the fact that I choose to believe in the Bible and in the narrative of Genesis. But for us, just let's say you remove God and you just try to analyze the human, and our outward expression is we long for love, we long to be seen, we long to create, we long for there to be progress, we long for there to be a better day than maybe the previous one. I long for my players to become better. I long for our relationship to get better. There's this intrinsic longing for good. I don't wake up and say, I want to be worse today. You know, it doesn't feel like a human impulse to want to wake up and be worse. And so I think that if, let's say, you don't believe in God, then you can just substitute that for good. And I think we are. I don't think a dog wakes up and says like, "Hey, I want to be good today," or "I want to be bad today," or they just want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what perhaps makes us different, and having that level of consciousness, and then on top of that, free will. I think that's one big ingredient of what makes us human, and what I think parallels, if there's a creator out there somewhere, he had the ability to create something or to just live in his own mystic perfect world. And the problem if he lived in only his mystic perfect world is that it would almost be like AI because everybody's good over there.
Yeah.
And so when you create something outside of yourself and you put free will into it, then it activates love, because love outside of free will is just obedience, or it might just be control.
Yeah.
And what were we saying?
Program.
Right? And so thoughts that come to my head that I don't know that I can maybe say in the church is I don't know that God can fully love had he not created us, because he doesn't have a entity in which he could give love, and then that if he gave love to something that only has the opportunity to love them back, is it actually love? So the input of free will in us and our ability to not love God but still choose to love God activates love. And so if God is love, and if God is love, so let's just remove God and let's just say love, and love is the driving principle in what we do in our everyday, that leads me to believe that we are an extension of love. But yeah, I don't know that I can say this in a lot of places, which I guess now it will be somewhere. But but yeah, I choose to believe that we are God's masterpiece, and if we look at ourselves in that manner, I think we would walk into spaces a bit more comfortable in our own skin. And again, to that phrase of help humans walk life hiding less, I think being comfortable in our humanity, and not just comfortable, but like knowing the origin of our humanity, or what is true to our humanity, will allow us to walk into spaces not with the posture that I'm not going to make a mistake, but that the mistake doesn't define me, and therefore I can hide less. And if you really want to activate love and you're hiding, you're never actually going to know if the love is at you or the person that you're pretending to be. And so hiding less actually is the container or the context from which you allow yourself to receive love and express love. And again, love seems like such a like soft, or love is the most powerful. Like the reason I have athletes that wake up at 6 a.m. to go to a training is because they deeply feel for this sport. They deeply, I don't even think that it's about the sport. They deeply feel the need to want to get better, you know? And they want to get better because they want to be loved in their team, or they want to be loved in a group, or they want to belong. And anything that you want to belong is like, you just want to be loved. It's been maybe, I don't know if corrupted, but watered down the powerful texture of the word love. And so, yeah, so I think when we talk about humans, that's the universe that comes about in my mind. But then I think the opposite maybe is more the reality. We see moments in which we are inhumane. I think that I have such a dilemma with sports. Who's your favorite team in Colombia?
Nacional.
Nacional. And I think it was they were in the final, and like I think the Nacional, or the team they were facing, decided to create chaos in the stadium. Do you remember that?
Might have been Millonarios, or
Maybe America.
America. It was America.
Yeah. Do you remember that game? Remember
Yes.
what happened?
Yeah.
You want to tell us what happened?
So Nacional was gonna win it on the second leg, but the second leg was in Cali, which is where America's from. So they said, the fans decided that instead of letting them just finish the game and win in their stadium, Nacional being the away team, they were like, let's just throw things onto the field, make it unplayable, and that way they can't finish the game out, and we don't get beat in our own stadium, and they don't raise a trophy in our own stadium. So it was pretty petty, but that's
Yeah.
the sport.
Yeah, and as a coach, I have to come in and help players almost fall in love with this craft. But I also have a side of me that's like, there's a unhealthy side to the sport that creates separation. And talking about only the good expression or the healthy expression of the human side maybe will not capture the totality of the human, you know. And it's humans and humans playing, but the moment you put a jersey on, something happens. And it's fascinating because you put that same crowd, it's just crazy. You put that same crowd in a World Cup final representing Colombia. They are all on the same team. And so in a moment of separation and trying to make it the worst final possible for the other team, those same people would come together for the same sport in just a different jersey.
Yeah.
You know, and so it goes back again to human. Can we find a way to see the human underneath the jersey? And it happens, I don't know, with politics too. Like, can you look at the human underneath the political stance? Can you look at the human, even underneath the skin color, you know, underneath the financial status? And I tell this story to some of the kids that I work with when we're doing more of mental performance, and when we dive into how do I see the other as more of a human. Last Super Bowl, not this past one, but the last one, the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. They had a parade, and somebody died at the parade. And it was, for me, it was when I was working out, I saw this on TV, and I was frustrated at the fact that the MVP of the Super Bowl always has to say this at the end of the game, like, hey, I won the Super Bowl, I'm going to Disney. So Patrick Mahomes goes and, hey, I won the Super Bowl, I was the MVP, I'm going to Disney with my family. And for me, it broke me somewhere inside that, like, Patrick Mahomes is going to Disney and this fan's family is going to a funeral. And all because of a sport. And the separation that he was killed by something, someone, I think there was like a gunshot or something, that made this person's life end. And it was human to human. And so that's something that I think being cautious with, how much separation are we proposing? But anyways, all that to say that there's so many things that we do throughout the day. Sometimes it's easy to forget that there's a human underneath, and the human underneath is actually what's informing every role that we play. The human underneath is informing me as a brother, you as a wife, you as a sister, you as a daughter. And I wonder what it would be like to walk around remembering your identity as a human, in the sense that you are the closest expression of God here on earth, and that so is the human in front of you. And I just wonder if we walked a day with that point of view, if that would shift some things. And I think to close out today, I would like to just propose that when you talk about our relational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and character development, this word human, in these 6 words that invade my soul, I think the word human lands at relational intelligence. And I think we were designed for a human connection. There's nothing that you can really enjoy without sharing it with somebody. Like, every time that something good happens or something bad happens, there's something inside of you that wants to share it. And we are just so wired for a relational reality. And within that, if we can find a way to remember that it's a human and human relationship versus Colombia versus Argentina relationship, or Nacional versus Medellin relationship, it creates separation. And when we go back to the soccer field, like, if the player starts to feel, hey, I'm the starter, he's the non-starter, or this is the coach that likes me, this is the coach that doesn't like me, this is the scout that likes this kid. And so all these separation actually diffuse your lightness and ability to be your most authentic expression and the highest, or optimize your performance. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll close with this. Do you have any specific takeaway that you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say that I've always thought or I've always admired that your ability to recognize in a moment where it's very easy to get frustrated or angry, you have the capability of recognizing the human underneath. I'm a little more hot-headed, so it's easy for me to forget. But I always admire that whenever we're in a situation where tensions are high, you have the skill of like stepping away and recognizing this is a human. These are all the facts in the situation. Let's have a little more patience for this person. Let's have a little more love for this person, because we can't forget that they're a human as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if God loves them, then I have a
That's the
responsibility
hard one.
to
Yeah.
show them that same kind
Yeah.
of love. Maybe not in the wash down way that
Mhm.
we were kind of talking about, but show them love with patience.
Mm-hmm.
Show them love with stepping away if that's what's necessary. So
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, yeah. And I think the secret sauce inside of that for me is that something about when something triggers me, it just like I go into this immediate library or like recollection of like I know that I have done that at some point in my life, and it may not be in the same domain, but I have felt that, and they're just feeling that, and so I find the common ground, which diffuses the intensity to come at them. And that love is the driving principle, and we got to run with that. All right. So we'll finish with that. This is the second word of our 6 word phrase: help humans walk life, hiding less. Leave some comments and let us know, what is your perspective on humans? How do you define humans? What makes you human? What makes your closest humans? There's times where you remind me of humanity so much because you have this innocence that just makes me feel like, hey, you know what? Like sometimes it's just better to know less and like to overthink less. Just vibe with life. But thank you for doing this with me. I always have a blast. Sometimes talking more, and sometimes listening to you. I love you, and we'll see you guys next episode.